Honorable Sumanthiran.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, for the opportunity given to me to speak on this adjournment motion moved by the Honourable Member for Kandy District. Before I get on to what I wish to state, I'd like to deal with some very interesting matters that the Honourable Acting Minister for Media just stated to this House. He said that this motion and the motion to implement the recommendations of the LLRC are nothing but the agenda of the Tamil diaspora. I wonder how kindly His Excellency will take this comment, having appointed the Lessons Learned and Reconciliation Commission. Is the Honourable Minister suggesting that His Excellency the President was acting according to the agenda of the Tamil diaspora in appointing the LLRC? He further stated that the he further stated that media freedom in this country is like that horse that was tethered and walked round and round, and even after its release keeps walking round and round. That is concession by the minister himself that there is self-imposed censorship out of fear that they have been kept within the bounds, and even if one can't see the rope, the horse knows that it dare not move outside that circle. Even the private media today knows only too well what is good for their health. That message has been clearly delivered by the government and today by the Honourable Minister himself in this House. The motion identifies two matters. It says that there is recommendation that rules and regulations must be formulated for the freedom of information. And secondly, that investigations must be initiated on serious violations of international laws and human rights. But the operative part of the motion is with regard to the appointment of independent commissions. Whilst I fully endorse that motion to appoint the independent commissions, I recognize that the proposer and the seconder have dealt with that adequately, and I wish to move on to the other matters that are mentioned in this motion and some matters that are not mentioned in this motion. The Lessons Learned and Reconciliation Commission made some interim recommendations. And in their final report, they themselves lament that their interim recommendations have not been implemented. They have not included in their final report those interim recommendations. And there is an article by Professor Savitri Gunasekara and Mr. Jayanta Dhanapala, respected retired civil servant who was in foreign service, on behalf of Friday Forum, that a few matters must be done as a matter of urgency, and this is not out of any improper motive but for the sake of the country. And one of those is releasing the report of the Udalagama Commission of Inquiry into killings, including that of the 5 students in Trincomalee and the 17 aid workers of Muttur. If I heard the minister a little while ago, he was suggesting that we should not rake up matters that have been forgotten. He was suggesting that the killing of the 5 students in Trincomalee and the 17 aid workers in Muthoor is a matter that the government has successfully swept under the carpet, and he is urging the opposition, don't remind the international community of this now. Don't bring this to the fore. Let forgotten matters be forgotten. I wish to tell this government most categorically that none of those matters will ever be forgotten. Matters of justice, quest for justice, can never be quenched by sweeping these things under the carpet. These 2 respected individuals further say that names must be made available of detainees and missing persons in regard to whom there is documented information of death. Thirdly, taking measures to prevent abductions and investigating such allegations as a matter of urgency and prosecuting offenders. Even while the Geneva sessions were on in the month of March, there were white van abductions liberally taking place in this country. Telling the international community, we care 2 hoots to your concern about violations of human rights in this country. Not 1 person has been apprehended and brought to book. That is what we want to display to the world. We don't care. We will carry on regardless of whatever your expression of concern. And as rightly been pointed out by the mover of this motion, this is disaster for this country. And as responsible members of this House, as responsible members of the opposition, it is our duty to again and again remind the government that they cannot take the country down this slope. I also, like the other speakers from the opposition, want to record the fact that no responsible minister was present in this House until now. Now I can see a senior minister asleep in the front row. He's still asleep. But that shows the seriousness of this government with regard to these matters. And if we proceed in this way, I talked about responsible ministers. Yeah. If we go in this direction, the writing is on the wall as to what will happen. With all these things happening, I'm sure the honorable member who's trying to disturb me will also agree with me. There is very serious concern expressed in the LLRC report itself about religious freedom. While all these things were happening, we saw what happened in Damulla. And even the perpetrators who are very well identified are still at large. There is provision in the penal code of this country to prosecute persons who damage places of religious worship. The one who led the attack, the whole country knows his identity. And the government doesn't have the will to move a muscle to apprehend that offender. And I wonder what the honorable member has to say about that. He dare not say anything. You want to say anything? You dare not say anything about that. What is that? Nothing, there is nothing about what I raised. Yeah, I'm a professional. He has nothing to say to the challenge that I posed to him. All he can do is sling mud. And Mr. Deputy Speaker, as yourself, I am also. What is the point about?
not be raked up. Just a while ago he said these should not be raked up. You wanted another bloodbath in the country that has been settled. That issue at Cumberland.
Yeah. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the person has just demonstrated that he has no knowledge of the standing orders and what a point of order is. Now, the motion says, I'll get on to the second matter, that investigations must be initiated on serious violations of international laws and human rights. The Tamil National Alliance has openly stated our position with regard to this. The violations of international laws is not a simple issue. That's a matter on which the international community can legitimately ask questions, and that is not considered interference. That is international law today. Accountability, we have said accountability remains an urgent and important need to help victim communities overcome trauma and rebuild their lives. You talk so much about reconciliation. And if you are serious about reconciliation, your concern will be that of the victims. And if victims are to recover from their trauma, justice and accountability are necessary part of that. That is so because to bring closure to a collective and personal grief, to ensure genuine reconciliation,